Alright, let's see what second to last pack I get to open contains. Still haven't decided yet on if I'm gonna do the last one live, because with it being a run up to Christmas and I'm not really sure if time will permit. Anyway, let's get started. So first card is a grass energy card. Not much to say there. The second card is, Toxtricity, one I'm not quite so familiar with, so not one that I can say a great deal about. It's got 140 HP and 2 moves, a Leer, which requires you to flip a coin, for which you can paralyze the opponent's card, and Loud Mix, which does 30 more damage for each different type of Pokemon on your bench, with a base damage of 50. So, not a bad card at all. Try and get you a good look at that if I can. Next up is a Tynamo. I suppose with the money I spent, I shouldn't be so shocked that I've got a good set of cards, designs. Tynamo, I mean, if you watch the Universe series, pretty sure this was the one that Elisa had that was unbelievably powerful in the anime. Obviously, this is just your standard base one. 2 attacks, static shock of 10, and tiny bolt of 30, which adds up to 40, which is also the HP that Tynamo has. Probably just a coincidence, could be a conspiracy, who knows. Next up is Scizor, which I'm pretty sure I had before as well. I think a different design, the other one was a slightly rarer version. 140 HP, just like Toxtricity. Punishing Scissors does 10 base damage and 50 more damage for each opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. So I suppose if your opponent's abilities are running you ragged, it'd be a good idea to bring in Scizor to counteract that. I feel it's unusual. I'm used to obviously talking into the camera, but before I started videoing this, my phone's actually flipped upside down, so I'm looking at the bottom of my phone, which is at the top of the screen that I'm looking at. Oh, and obviously it has an attack of Cut, which Cypher doesn't have as base, and I'm sure everyone who remembers playing the Gen 1 games will remember how annoying that is, when the Pokemon that literally has a scythe on each arm doesn't understand how to cut down a little plant that gets in your way. So many Gen 1 Pokemon that couldn't do the exact thing that you'd expect them to be able to do. I mean, of all the possible, who would ever have allowed Hypno to not be able to learn Dream Eater? That's criminal. On the subject of psychic types, Lunatone. Looks like the moon. Half moon, that is. 90 HP. It has an ability. New Moon, if you have Solrock in play, obviously the counterpart to Lunatone, prevent all effects of any stadium done to your Pokemon in play. And an attack that does 100 damage, Moon Press, that's quite powerful. It was discovered at the site of a meteor strike 40 years ago. That's such an interesting thing. They've only known about Lunatone for 40 years. I mean, that would be 1983 I mean, she's younger than my parents. That's weird. Okay, Poppy, trainer card. Don't recognise the trainer myself. Don't know who she is. Move up to 2 energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. Could be useful. It's, if one Pokemon's, I guess, about to faint or something, you can swap out its energy to another and, I guess, keep the boost you've been getting going. Always popular Umbreon. Very popular Espeon Umbreon. 110 HP. Powerful. Feint attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance, or by any effects. Double-edged sword, if you could have boosted the damage, obviously that's a bad thing, but I guess if your opponent's Pokemon has been sort of tanking and frustrating your attempts to damage it, Feint attack, as it ignores the resistance, very useful. Pitch Black Blade, 140 damage, very powerful attack. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Okay, so requires a recharge like Hyper Beam, Giga Impact. So I'll have to add that one to the list, Pitch Black Blade. As a British person, one of my favourites, Sinistea. 30 HP. It's a very good looking card, I have to say. The designs are very, very nice. So Cold Tea is its only attack. It does 10 base damage, but you flip a coin. If it's heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed by Cold Tea. Now that would destroy the UK. Although Iced Tea is pretty popular in America. That will probably do a lot more damage in the American South now I think about it. Up next we have Pawniard. Its one attack is Triple Cutter, which is a 10x. Flip 3 coins, this attack does 10 damage for each heads. So yeah, it's a 10x. So if you only get 1 heads, it's only 10. So maximum 30. Or worst case scenario, don't get any heads. Well, first of all, very unlucky. Second of all, no damage. Next up, Charcadet. Not encountered it before, not sure how to pronounce it. Burnt charcoal came to life and became a Pokemon. There's a lot of Pokemon that seem to be just coming alive when discarded. I mean, in the Pokemon world, you'd eventually just develop a fear of throwing anything away in case it came back as a Pokemon for revenge. Possessing a fiery fighting spirit, obviously, fire type, Charcadet will battle even tough opponents. I mean, that kind of goes without saying for a lot of Pokemon. So, Light Punch does 10 damage and Combustion does 20. At least Combustion obviously gets a stab bonus because it's a fire type attack. Final card, hopefully it's a good one. Yep. Toxel. What kind of a name for an attack is Slight Intrusion? That feels like a very half-hearted apology. This Pokemon also does 10 damage to itself and 30 damage to the other. It's called the Baby Pokemon. The Baby Pokemon. He's baby. Whatever. He's baby. Can't do that. Has no problem drinking dirty water. I didn't need to know that. An organ inside Toxel's body filters such water into a poisonous liquid that is harmless to Toxel. Okay, fair enough. That's a perfectly valid thing, actually. That does make sense. It's another good opening. Toxtricity, I think, is the most valuable card I've probably picked out today. Dynamo and Scizor. Pretty sure I had that Scizor, except, well, I've had a Scizor. I don't think that one design though. So it's been another good set, and I'm now down to my final Obsidian Flames pack. Here's hoping that I've saved the best till last. Obviously I don't know what's inside, I don't